Life is a quest for logic and reason. It is a quest to find balance between science and faith. Life is a quest for knowledge and understanding. But most importantly, it's a quest for personal discovery. Whatever your quest, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Welcome to Quest. Hi, Liya. Welcome to the Quest podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. You're one of the rare guests that I have on that sent me a message asking if you could come on. Most of the time I'm out like cherry picking people to bring on the show, but you are kind of like a friend of the family in a way. You know several people that have been guests for me before, Edita and Christina, and you're part of this like Bay Area tribe of people that are just really creative. So I was really happy that you reached out to me.
Yes, I was a little hesitant at first, but then I was like, no, I have to reach out to Todd and let him know about myself and what I'm bringing to the table.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to chat a little bit about that. So you have a protein powder that you made called Fueled Muscle,
Yes.
and you were gracious enough to send me some of it. And I have to say, I am on like a workout kick now. As my listeners know, I'm 55 years old, so I'm like, it's the last time I can probably get in the shape that I really want to be in, right? But I didn't have a lot of experience with protein powder. But I have to say, I really liked yours. And I was like, of course, let's come on, let's talk about this. A lot of natural ingredients, and we're going to dig into all that. But before we do, tell the listeners a little bit about you and your background.
So, my background has always been in holistic wellness and into health and wellness and fitness. I worked out for years. I've always been into fitness and feeling good. And, mental health also has a play in this. Like, you have to keep your body healthy, but it's also the mind. It kind of goes hand in hand. My husband is actually a professional athlete. So we've always been mindful about what we eat, how we live, so on and so forth. I have 2 kids. My eldest is 17 years old. He's into working out. He's into sports. He's huge in baseball. Fingers crossed, something big, hoping will happen.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to play around in the world of supplements, which in my knowledge and view of just what I've seen out there, it's a little bit of a scary world because not all is as it seems or as you see. The marketing plays a huge role in it, and you can have a product that says organic, and most people won't even turn to the ingredients to look. So I'm like, you know what? I run a tight ship here. I cook from scratch. Like I said, food is medicine. Very mindful of what we eat. And I decided to create a supplement for my family that I felt, this is my baby. I felt like if I can offer something amazing to my family, I can offer this to other people. And wholeheartedly, I made this with integrity and knowledge and knowing that if people take this product, they won't have to think twice. So because I'm knowledgeable when it comes to food and ingredients, I created this protein powder called Fueled Muscle for my son.
Great.
And the whole family enjoys it and started taking it, and friends and family, and everybody's just amazed. So this is how Fueled Muscle was born. I feel very confident in this product because
Yeah, for sure. And it's like the ultimate stamp of approval for you making it for your son, because certainly you would want to feed your son the healthiest stuff, right? So I think I think anyone listening out there would think, oh, we're just going into this to be another protein powder out on the market. It's a money grab, but you actually made this for your family first and foremost. So I really
Yes,
wholeheartedly believe your best intentions are to not poison your family with a bunch of crap. you know.
100%. It's so critical. Like, you know, um, I feel like food is so important because, and I really view this way, like food is medicine. You know, what you put into your body is critical how you will feel. And it's not like, oh, today I'm going to have a cheat day and I'm not saying, be paranoid or watch everything and like don't enjoy yourself. Yes, we all splurge. Yes, we all have a cheat day. Yes, you want to go have some ice cream with your friends or something that's not as healthy. Okay. But in accumulation, because this is what it comes down to. It comes down to accumulation. And in with that, this is where sometimes problems occur. So if you can, live your life with intention and with some knowledge and not go overboard at the same time and just have a balance. But if you're doing daily things like a protein powder, anyone can benefit from a protein powder. People say, oh, well, I don't work out. It's not just about working out. This is a pre-workout, a post-workout, meal replacement. You don't have time to eat. Everyone needs protein. Protein is very
And
important.
we don't get enough of it.
We
That's
don't get enough of it. And also, my product, it's not just a protein. So that's the amazing part of it. So,
Well, I want to dig into the protein powder a little bit and other things that are out on the market, because I find this whole, I've really taken a deep dive into this since you sent this to me. But you really have four main ingredients in your protein powder. Will you tell everyone what those are?
yes. So, our protein powder means the main ingredient is the organic grass-fed whey protein concentrate, which is less processed than isolate. Um, and I would say less processed is better.
I
It's
want to ask you real quick, if you don't mind. I apologize for cutting you off. So let's explain to the listeners just a little bit about whey protein, because I was under a misconception of what whey protein even was. And I heard the term like grass-fed whey protein. I'm like, what does that even mean? So I thought like whey proteins came from like soybeans and things like that. But explain exactly what whey proteins are, because we see it on labels of lots and lots of stuff. Can you
so
maybe give everyone a better
yes,
example of what it is?
yes. So whey protein it's from dairy, but it's easily digested and absorbed. I mean, unless you are lactose intolerant and you completely can't. And a lot of people like will do isolate because they remove the lactose, but isolate is extremely, extremely, extremely processed. Um, it does contain fat, it does contain lactose, but this one is created a little bit differently. It's digested easily, and I believe that if you're getting it grass fed and organic, you're not worried about the GMOs. You're not worried about the not good dairy.
Gotcha. Interesting. Right. So you've got this organic grass-fed whey protein. What else is in the protein powder?
So the protein powder has. So I'll just put a couple things in there. So basically, I want to talk about the vanilla, that it's flavored with the vanilla,
Hmm.
but I'll leave that for last because
Sure.
I want to talk about the chia flour. So the chia flour is, well, chia seeds, it's in there, and that's for fiber and for gut health, and it has the omega-3s in there. It has camu camu berry, which is a superfood, and it is very high. It's one of the superfoods that's highest in vitamin C. It has monk fruit. So it's sweetened with monk fruit, won't spike your sugar. So there's no added sugars. And that is a wild harvested crop. So it grows wild. And then like one of the most important things that I would say is the flavoring. So you'll see products that are organic and they're flavored with, he'll say organic natural flavors. So organic natural flavors is a very broad term. And we do not use natural flavors. We flavor our product with ground Madagascar vanilla. That is it. That is all that our product is flavored with. And when I say natural flavoring is broad, because it contains many ingredients. It contains many ingredients and people put it in there. And as long as it originates from like the natural sources, you can use that word. And
Sure.
what that contains is preservatives, solvents, emulsifiers, vegetable oils, and a lot of other non-transparent things. So that's pretty much why I really was adamant about not having the natural flavors. And
I have to say, when I tasted it, I tasted the monk fruit more than anything. I really did. So I picked up on that, and I don't know what it's like to detect notes in protein powders, and certainly there's a vanilla flavor to it, but the monk fruit to me stood out.
And what do you think? I wanted to get your opinion because I love to hear what people think, and I never ever take it personally because everyone has, different
Different
tastes.
palate, a different palate. Yeah. I used to host a bourbon television show called The Bourbon Lounge, and it went for 3 seasons on Fox. It was a show I produced and created, and it was all about the bourbon industry. I grew up near Kentucky. That's where all the bourbons are made.
I love bourbon.
And it was always interesting because, one of the things a master distiller will always say was, what notes do you detect? Oh, it tastes woody, it tastes peaty, it tastes caramelly, it tastes everyone, and there's no wrong answers. That's the beauty of it. Like everyone really detects different notes from things. And I feel like I kind of got that a little bit from this. We're talking about all these natural ingredients and what you chose to put in this. And I was really surprised, how many other protein powders on the market, and many that are very famous brands that actually have preservatives, fillers, binders, sugar. And I wasn't really sure what fillers and binders were. Can you maybe enlighten me to what that is?
Yes. So fillers and binders would be like xanthan gum, corn, very popular one, maltodextrin, highly processed, and they're using either corn, rice, potato, or wheat. It's a thickener and it's a filler, and it spikes your sugar. And not only that, but maltodextrin, mostly they're using corn, and the corn in the USA, sadly to say, is all GMO. I try to be conservative when I say that, but it's awful. I'm sorry. Every product that I picked up on the market before I started my company, this is what I ran into. You pick up these beautiful bottles, canisters, organic, just organic ingredients. But when you flip it over, you have ingredients that you cannot pronounce, ingredients that you can't eat, you don't even know what they are. You have to spend maybe 2 hours in the store Googling what ingredient is what. And this is the fillers, the binders, this is what they use to, bulk up the product. And again, they're cheaper.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And it essentially fills up space in the canister, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of getting half as much of what maybe you would.
Paying for an ingredient that is cheap to fill up the space.
I had a dietitian to the stars on the very first season of my podcast, 100 episodes ago. And she was like a nutritionist, a dietitian, and she would work with people like Leo DiCaprio and different stars to get them movie ready So Leo will wait and diet like 90 days before he has to be on set. So like this is the person that you kind of bring in to like crash and have a healthy diet. But she was telling me, it was interesting what she was telling me. She was telling me about the corn industry. And she said that corn is siloed generally, and sometimes siloed for several seasons that before it ever gets sent out. But she said what happens with the corn when it's in silos is it compresses the corn on the bottom into almost a fine powder. But she said the farmers don't waste anything. So what happens is they start to get rid of the corn out of the silo, and it gets to the bottom where there's this powdery corn with that the mice are in, and there's rat turds and all this stuff. And she said, and they even sell this. And she said, this stuff gets shipped off to like the Doritos companies, and they make nacho chips and things like that out of it. That's what they use for the powder for. And the powder has a name, and I'm drawing a blank on what they call it now, but there is actually a name for it. So was there parceling out the corn and they get to the powder gets sold to chip companies. How crazy is that?
Wow. Nothing is going to waste.
Nothing.
Nothing is going to waste. And you know what? There's another thing I was going to tell you, about the whey, something that I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
So what I've seen, because I've had people tell me, I'm lactose intolerant. I can't do it. And you know what? Because it's organic and it's grass-fed and it's a concentrate, which is less processed. It's also, by the way, a complete protein, and it has the 9 essential amino acids. It's amazing. Okay. A lot of these, and I'm not anti-vegan, but I'm not going to bash anyone, but I have my reasons. The vegan protein powder is just a big no for me.
Yeah.
And I, have my opinion why, but I'll tell you this. Most people that do have a lactose intolerance that did try our protein are good. And I believe that is because it's less processed. Just like, for example, a lot of people that I know that can't eat wheat or gluten or dairy, but when they go to Europe, they have no problem.
Yeah.
It's the way a lot of things, our food in America is a little different. So we'll just keep it nice and respectful.
Of course.
A little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, it's the mass production of everything. And it's sad. You think about these like science fiction movies in the future where we're just injecting like a gray paste right into our stomach. You got to wonder if like that's where things are headed, because just everything is just so processed and mass produced, and no one knows how to grow anything anymore. No one goes to farmers markets anymore.
And the soil is so depleted from the minerals. And another thing, you asked me about the ingredients, and I was like thinking about the ingredients, and I'm like, I'm missing something. We also use pink Himalayan sea salt, and that's some of the minerals.
Yeah.
So I'm really hand picking the ingredients, and I'm not one of those men, I created this product with a mindset of I'm going to focus quality, transparency, and integrity. For me is the building blocks of my product and my company. It is so important. Like, I feel like I want to offer people what I offer my family.
Yeah.
Without the, thinking of what's the profit margin? Like, I'm going to be honest, my profit margin is very low. So, but I just want to offer an amazing product that you can't really find. This product is not just a protein powder. It boosts immunity.
Yeah.
And it is amazing for gut health because it has that 500 milligrams of vitamin C in each serving, and it is extremely healthy. And by the way, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
And kids, by the way, are not getting enough protein at all.
Oh, yeah.
These days, so I feel like you could give this it's teen safe, kid safe. It has 20 grams of protein, 0 sugar, won't spike their sugar, 95 calories per serving, and 2 grams of carbs.
My question was the protein that you got per serving, and you answered it. So that was, I want to ask, if you don't mind, if you're not uncomfortable about it, I want to hear about young Liya. Tell me about your young life, because you've become this entrepreneur, you're married, you have this great family. What got you to this point? Like, what was your young life like? Were you athletic and watching your diet as a teenager? Like, give me the backstory. Where are you from?
This is interesting. So originally, I'm from Latvia, Riga, which is Eastern Europe. It's the Baltic. It was a former USSR. I was always very fun, outgoing. I loved to dance. I loved to be active. I was always very active. I did do dance for a short period of time. I was always into working out, very active. Loved to dance, loved fitness, loved like the body. I was always into food, always into medicine, always wanted to help people. It's something I feel like is just a part of me. And as I grew up, I started working out at a very young age. The first time I went to the gym, I must have been 11 years old, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I could barely sit on a Bosu ball because you have to use your core. But you know what? It really flourished. I love outdoors. I loved doing and being active. And now it's just a huge part of my life. I have to do this every day.
I want to ask you, I hear this a lot from many of my friends that grew up in Europe. When they come to America, one of the things they're really always dazzled by is like the size of a Walmart grocery store or a Kroger store, and just like the enormous aisles of just bread. And they're just like, they haven't seen anything like that. Tell me like what that experience was like for you back home. Was it more like market based? Like you went to the market to get your meats and you went to the market to get your vegetables, or because you didn't have those enormous mega stores there?
So when I left, I was 5. And I went to Italy and I lived there for a year before we immigrated to America. That was the process. So, and I remember my childhood very well. So yes, back home, we had farmers market. That's how people shopped. Did we have any of those factory type stores? Maybe one where you would just go, but the food quality still did not go down. It was still coming from, I would say, probably small producers. But yes, everybody got their meat from a local butcher, their bread from a local bread store, and their their produce from a farmer's market. That's how I remember living. And when you came here, it's a little bit of a culture shock. Kind of, from what I remember going into Costco for the first time. I was like in complete shock.
That stuff's way up to the ceiling, like 30 feet high.
Like, oh my goodness.
You wound up marrying a professional football player.
I did.
How did what was your beat on fitness then? Because I imagine like the gym was a massive part of this guy's life. And I imagine, also calories and just keeping the weight football players need to have. Like, how did your perception shift marrying him?
So I will tell you a little story behind this, which I think will shock you a little bit.
Yeah.
I think so. I was asked this question before, so I'm kind of ready to respond. So I know him since first grade, and we started dating when I was 14.
Wow. Okay.
So I came into his life way before football.
Wow.
So we've been through a lot. Because we have
talk about marrying your first love. That's about
together for a very long time. So the food situation was not a surprise before the NFL. It was just, I was kind of used to it already. And as I mentioned before, when I was young, I was always into food. So I was cooking at a very young age as well, something I forgot to mention. So I was already cooking at age 14.
Yeah.
And food, it was easy peasy when he was playing professional. But
Well,
you'd be surprised. Football players, some of them eat a lot. Some of them try to maintain themselves because he's a very big person.
mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to be careful and eat super healthy. So he definitely lucked out in that department.
Yeah.
I was always kind of knowledgeable and kept the right food.
So I want to know, when one day you had this idea you wanted to make this protein powder. I always kind of make this comment among my team that I'm going to the lab to work on something, and it might be something mechanical, it might be something else, and I wonder, how did this begin? Like, does this begin in your kitchen at home, and you're just literally like working out things yourself, or do you go to a lab and you talk to chemists, and how does it work?
Yes. So it's very interesting. A lot of people that start their business, it usually starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I took kind of a basic protein powder, just not protein powder, just basic whey concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put some of the dry ingredients in there, mix them up, like just individual ingredients, mix them up and tried it. Was it something that was amazing? Perhaps not. But I thought to myself, you know what? If I find the correct manufacturer that has the correct ingredients, that are heavy metal tested, that don't have any additional ingredients within them, because sometimes ground organic vanilla or camu camu will have other ingredients in there. I had to go ingredient by ingredient, and I have certifications for each ingredient. That's how critical this is for me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I said to myself, well, if I could find someone like that, I can have a sample made. So that's how it started. I found someone, and this is a manufacturing company that is certified. And I had them create a sample that I then had to educate them. And then we tweaked it and we played around with it. And then I got the final product.
So deciding on these ingredients, like how did monk fruit make the list? How did camu camu make the list? Like, why isn't there beets in this, or pomegranate or something else? Like, did you have a method to that madness, or did you try different things of what made it to the final protein powder? How many other versions didn't you choose?
So in my opinion, I did not want to do veggies, which a lot of people add. I feel like you need to get your veggies from real foods.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, it is hard to get a piece of meat in the body. Yes, you could have some at dinner. You're still not getting enough protein, especially if you're bodybuilding or you're doing something.
Yeah.
So you're going to opt out to do your whey protein or whatever protein you choose. But when it comes to vitamin C, I chose camu camu because it's a superfood, and my protein powder is based off of superfoods. This is not something I picked ingredients that you're not going to get regularly, and you can just go and eat it every day. Everyone needs vitamin C. You don't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Are you going to swallow pills separately or take supplements separately? It's complicating. Kids can't do that either. So I'm like, okay, vitamin C. We need vitamin C for many reasons. Gut health, fiber. And I had kids in the back of my mind. Kids don't get enough fiber. And this protein powder, I kid you not, will have your kids using the restroom. It's a very, very thorough formula. And there's
For sure.
fiber. So it's basically, I kind of thought about it. What would I want in my daily schedule for me, for my kids? I want something that boosts immunity. I want my protein. I don't want my sugar to spike. I don't want to think about like the sugar thing because that's just disease.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then the flavoring was huge because I mean, I personally love vanilla. I know a lot of people love chocolate. And you know what I do, which is very interesting? And we will be coming out with chocolate along with other things, but I wanted something that I could flavor this with that's super clean, but then vanilla goes well with other flavors. You can it's like an underlying flavor. So a lot of things. So
Yeah.
I add raw cacao in there. I add matcha in there and I flavor it the way I want to.
Nice.
And it's basic.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Well, Liya, I think you've been created something really, really great here. And I never have guests like you on my podcast. No way. So I want the listeners to know, like, I'm genuinely liking this product and I wanted to have you come on and talk about it. And I'm glad you did. And you really answered a lot of my questions. I think you answered a lot of questions that listeners will have. And I want you tell everyone how they can find your product out there on the interwebs and where are you at on social media?
On social media, we are on Instagram and Facebook, Fueled Muscle. And we have a website, and that's www.fueledmuscle.com, fueled with a D.
Yeah.
And we are also on Amazon. And we are in a couple stores in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And we are looking forward to moving this along so everyone can try it and everyone can enjoy it and feel confident and safe in what they're putting into their body and feeling good about what they're doing on the daily, whether you're working out or you don't have time for your, if you're working and you don't have enough time and you can just have a shake in between your meals.
Right.
Very beneficial.
Absolutely. Liya, come back on the show when chocolate's out and let's talk about that.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And I really am very happy to hear that you loved the powder.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming out and let's talk soon. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
MetaCortex Publishing hopes that you've enjoyed this presentation.
Please take a moment to listen to some other podcast offerings from MetaCortex Publishing.
The Danceology podcast interviews the great masters of dance, the working professionals starring in today's most exciting shows, and the rising stars ready to amp up the craft. I'm your host, Edyta Slawenska from Dancing with the Stars. Join me as I dive into the world of dance, uncovering unique stories and the fascinating personalities of industry professionals on Danceology.
Hi, I'm Father Daniel Duplantis, a Catholic priest, martial artist, and host of the Karate Priest podcast. Have you ever wondered what the church teaches about different topics? Are you a martial arts enthusiast or just someone who wants to learn more about martial arts? I'd like to invite you to join me and many guests on my podcast as we cover topics of faith, everyday living, and martial arts on the Karate Priest podcast.
The No Earthly Explanation podcast investigates the things that are unexplainable, hosted by world-renowned investigative researcher Donald R. Schmidt and scientist Ellie Ringo. Follow them as they look for evidence for things that have no earthly explanation. Available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Every year, tennis players from around the world compete for excellence, triumphing against all odds to emerge the champions. I'm your host, Maddie Harrison. Join me as I get up close and personal with these dynamic individuals and find out what it takes to go for greatness. Let's go beyond the match.
Cult Following is a podcast that studies the personalities and common traits of cult leaders and their followers. Get the real story behind these infamous and oftentimes tragic cults from a new perspective, through exhaustive research and from interviews with people that were there. Available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hi everybody, I'm Amber Rose, the religious hippie, and I host the podcast A Catholic's Perspective. Join me every 2 weeks as I release episodes targeted towards helping young Catholics navigate their ever-changing secular world while staying strong in their faith. Whether you are a Catholic or not, all are welcome here. So if this is something that interests you, feel free to tune in. You can find A Catholic's Perspective on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I hope to see you there. Bye!
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please be sure to rate and review this episode. This podcast is produced by Todd Fischer and Anthony Smith and is distributed by Metacortex Publishing. This podcast is copyright. Any previously trademarked or copyright content is used by permission. Information and opinions stated in this podcast should not be construed as medical advice. Please be sure to visit the official website for Metacortex Publishing at metacortexpublishing.com or find us on social media for other unique content.